All right, Maddie, we are back with After Hours team. We have a lot of good topics today, a lot of good crypto topics. We're going to be talking maybe a little bit about Bitcoin forecast as well as past Bitcoin performance. We're also going to be talking about El Salvador coming with some Bitcoin transparency as they're buying Bitcoin every single day. And they're being very transparent about that. I wish our government was as transparent as El Salvador is with their Bitcoin. We're also going to be talking about Ripple and XRPL Labs joins a protocol or a project where we are going to be bringing crypto to a mainstream via recovery with keys. I was telling Maddie before the show, it's very interesting because when we talked about Ledger and their seed recovery phrase early this year, this is something vastly different. Now we're talking about decentralized recovery, so we're going to get into that. We're also going to be talking about Brad G. I was going through Twitter this morning and I saw someone calling out an uninformed CEO. And I went into the Crypto Charge Discord, and everyone was talking about Brad G. Brad Garlinghouse is this uninformed CEO, and I had to go look at Twitter, and so looks like Brad G checkmated the Tether CEO, and so we're going to get a little bit into that. We're also going to be talking about, is USDT safe? Maddie's favorite topic, and as well as some investor insight. This is the After Hours show. Maddie, I first want to pop off the show with talking a little bit about Bitcoin. I was listening to a creator this morning, and he was talking about past Bitcoin performance. And I'm going to show you something you've probably... Actually, let's start with this first. I'm jumping ahead of the gun here. Let's start with this. I wanted to get your take. So this is Rand Neward, Crypto Man Rand. I've seen some of his tweets. I'm not very familiar with him, so I don't know what his TA background is, Maddie, but he did place this on Twitter today. So we see some flagging structures with a pop following it, and I think he's insinuating here is that he's expecting a pop in Bitcoin price. What are your thoughts on this? What is he insinuating here? And is he maybe correct with his insinuation of Bitcoin price getting ready for a pop?
So he's illustrating some very classic flagging patterns in here, or pennant structures. And, there's a lot of different ways that we can evaluate different structures, whether it has a flat bottom or whether it has, a flat top and an ascending bottom. And there's a lot of different ways that triangles and compression structures can form. Really, when I evaluate a compression structure, I always look at that compression structure in the direction of the trend. So if we're in an uptrend and then we start to see compression, we start to see longer periods of consolidation. I'm not so picky about the way that compression is being formed as the more concerned about the velocity slowing down and for us to kind of just see the compression. So what he's illustrating here, especially on a weekly level, is after a set of impulses, you start to kind of get that slowdown. That's what we're getting now. We've talked about this on previous shows. We've absolutely talked about this exhaustively on the Crypto Charge live show. Seeing 60K hold as minor support right now, continuously seeing bounces in 60K defended by bulls is showing that this is very likely a compression structure here. Now, we have talked about the imbalances being in the low 50s that probably should have been rechecked. Can we see an example like we saw previously of, a compression structure, but then a larger sweep of the lows and then reclaiming that compression structure and then that move higher? That's also very possible. But short term, what that would do is it would invalidate the compression structure, and it would definitely, first of all, liquidate a lot of people who are leveraged long, introduce some more fear into the market, and then generally, resume uptrend. But right now, Bitcoin is kind of reaching that pinnacle of that compression, and I do agree that we could see a very nice pop here. Looking left to right, trading with the trend, we should see a move higher here technically.
Maddie, before we get too deep into the show here, so we talked about like Bitcoin right now where it's at. It's trading sideways, Matt, and when we are trading sideways, people get shaken out. And I don't want our team to get shaken out right now. I know some altcoins are up, like HBAR, but some altcoins are lagging behind team. I do not want to see comments from you guys saying, oh, I'm getting scared right now. It's better time I just sell my altcoins and hop into an altcoin like Hedera that's way up, So I want you guys to take advantage of these opportunities. We have spent, as I'm going to show here coming up, Maddie, we're going to talk a little bit about Bitcoin past performance, but I don't want our team to get shaken out and feel like they're missing out right now. Stay in with the holds, do what you need to do, be buying crypto right now, because this quarter when we're in, starting April 1 to June, is going to be a great time to be buying crypto right now. And I don't like doing time frames, and the only reason I'm talking about time frames is because I'm about to shit on time frames in a second here. But Maddie, before we go any further, and so that we don't get halfway into the show, team, We are from CryptoCharge. This is after hours, but we come from CryptoCharge.com. So make sure you check out our platform. We are crypto educators. Maddie does the CryptoCharge live show every single day, as well as Dan and Brian Decker. And that show is to bring you guys information on the daily. Maddie is a master chartist, and he constantly loves going to the charts and charting things that you guys like to see, but also charting things that are happening in the broader market, stocks, gold and silver, etc. So team, become a CryptoCharge member if you need to stay informed. I'm telling you right now, if you are not within a community, you need to hop in one right now. You can't be missing out on what's going on right now. You guys look to Twitter for your guidance as like the end all be all. You'll get lost because everyone else has a different perspective on there, and they all have like, you know, you see people on crypto Twitter that's like, oh, you better hop into this thing, and then you go to the other guy that's like a crypto maxi, and you don't even know who to follow. At CryptoCharge, we take a multi-dimensional approach and we consolidate it to one so that you have the best information when making crypto investing decisions. I know that sounds like, Maddie, I just shilled a lot right there, but I just want to be honest with you guys because CryptoCharge is where it's at. Just hop in, 30-day free, use code YouTube. You can hop on the platform. There's the shows, the tools on there, and you can hop into the Discord and get access with the rest of the community on there. I know this morning when I was going through like the Brad G stuff on Twitter, I saw Maddie retweet it when Brad Garlinghouse clapped back at the Tether CEO, and then went into Discord, and the whole Discord was in a flurry, like wondering, oh, what's wrong with Tether? Like happens like I feel like Maddie happens every like 2 months.
Yeah, it feels like a disease that just continuously comes back. The Tether FUD, it's just nonstop. But like I said, I've been in crypto for years and years now, and I constantly hear about the Tether FUD, which just constantly gets shut back down with the attestation reports. But it doesn't take much to concern retail traders.
Absolutely, Matt. So team, don't get fudded. Hop in the Discord, join the team so that you aren't either getting FOMO or you're believing all this fake news. Hop in the Discord. You need to do that. Okay, team, let's carry on with the show here, and I want to show you this, Matt. So I was listening to a creator this morning, and he was breaking this chart down. I'm looking at the left one, not the Ethereum one, but the Bitcoin quarterly returns by percentage. And he was trying to break this down, and he actually gave some non-conclusive results, which really pisses me off. I hate when creators bring up a data or bring up a news article, they read it, and they don't give me any commentary, and then don't offer me a conclusion. So like, concrete detail is this chart, give me some commentary, some talking points to this chart, and then give me something to wrap this up in my head what this means, okay? Maddie, I want to ask you a question here on this Bitcoin quarterly returns percentage. Do you see a pattern here by any chance, or what do you think about just this left side? Some initial thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the reason that we break down, percentage by quarter is a lot of times, that's how most companies prepare their financial reports. So, even though it's not really necessarily like a fair comparison, we always kind of want to look, in my opinion, like cycle by cycle. That's really the better indicator of, where price is actually doing, what kind of performance we see. And when we look at the chart on the left here, you'll notice that some of them, you'll get like, for example, in Q1, you got like a lot of red months in Q1 for Bitcoin there. That's like a pretty consistent theme. You have Q2 being a relatively higher profitability month. And then, it kind of becomes a little bit more mixed after that. But again, you have to look at some of the economic conditions that were happening during those quarters. And it's not necessarily that, Bitcoin is a bad asset, or on the right side of the Ethereum is a bad asset. There were just different, sets of economic and political circumstances that can absolutely shift what people believe with risk on assets. Well, you guys have to understand what risk on, and we call it risk on for a reason, is because they're not valuable in times of crisis, right? If the world believes that we're in a terrible economic state, or we're in a highly tense geopolitical situation, what's more valuable, your shares of Microsoft or food, water, and shelter, right? We're going to be a little bit more conservative with our dollars. Investors are going to be a little bit more gun shy when it comes to investing into risk on assets, right? Yeah, we could be, talk about, trading our Bitcoin or our crypto for other assets. But again, if the world does believe that we're in one of those dire situations, they don't care about your digital assets. They want hard assets. They want things that they can touch and feel and use in front of them. So, personally, I'm not like a big fan of quarterly performance because, generally you're going to see that real return over a cycle. But, that's, definitely mixed bag. And this chart will look different over time. Like, especially as we start to see cycles become a little bit more defined, we're going to see this chart change dramatically as, some cycles may be longer, some are shorter. And again, we can't tell you what kind of geopolitical events can happen in between those that can, absolutely shake the pattern that you see in front of you now.
Good analysis, Matt. That was exactly what I was looking for. So the conclusion here is that we can't just look at Q2 and expect a big red Q3, or we can't expect Q4 and Q2 to be the best green quarters of the year. And that's what I wanted you guys to pull from this, is that, I'm going to give you guys a little word for the day. It's called eisegesis, and it's when you take like your knowledge and you insert it into a text, right? That's like eisegeting. But I want you guys to like use exegesis and pull out and say, okay, what does this chart show me and what can I pull from it? What I pull from it, Maddie, is that Q2 is not a guaranteed green month, just like Q4. We've seen quarters where we've seen, going down the list here, 14%, 13%, negative 42%. And this was like a constant thing. Like if you entered crypto back in, it was like 2021, everyone was like, oh, December is always a great month for crypto.
Right.
Well, okay, but like look at the quarter on a little bit of a macro scale and they'll be able to tell you like, no, that's not the case. We've probably had good Christmases, but not every Christmas is a good Christmas. I remember, what was it, 2022, where it was just like a terrible year altogether and we were expecting like something crazy like we did at the end of like 2017.
Right.
So that just goes to tell you guys that I don't want you guys to fall into this trap where you guys see creators online that make an argument like this is like, okay, well now since every quarter has been green, now we are expecting a red quarter next quarter or a green quarter. Do not do it like that. I think, Maddie, you've nailed it since you started. It's like you can't put time onto your investing. You can't, because this is like where time gets involved when we're looking at it from a quarterly perspective. Does that make sense?
Right. No, I absolutely agree with that. It's, this is the kind of data that people like to look at and say, well, this is statistically what's happened previously, so this is what's going to happen in the future. But that's why we don't use the word statistical fact. It's an incorrect terminology because data changes over time or the statistic changes over time as more data comes in, right? So again, like we talked about, as cycles evolve, this data will change and you can have less and less dependency on it essentially.
Right, Maddie. Okay, let's move along here. Let's talk a little bit about El Salvador. They released a new website that tracks their Bitcoin treasury. So the transparency was with the launch of a mempool space, a memory pool space. And so basically it's proof of reserves website showing what they are doing. And Maddie, I just wanted to show you this really quick. And could you ever see, like, okay, so America's behind the eight ball here. Could you ever see any other country doing this, or even America doing something like this where they're showing their transaction history every single day they're buying one Bitcoin?
Yeah, it's possible that we get some sort of maybe a greater sense of transparency into what's actually available. Now, with these types of transactions in dedicated wallets that we can track, a lot easier for us to say, okay, yeah, we know that this is what's happening. But it doesn't mean that there isn't additional wallets that aren't disclosed to the public that are shell wallets or hosted by other individuals who are not tied particularly to those government wallets, but they're technically still government assets. And I think that's probably what we already see now, right? Like we have to trust even right now with our government, and the treasurer always comes out, I have seen our gold and silver deposits. It's all there. It's very beautiful. It looks good. Like that's what we're supposed to go off of, right? And even if we did get pictures and maybe even some audits of those vaults, it doesn't mean that it's all there. So as far as them being 100% transparent, or any government being 100% transparent with their holdings, I don't think we'll ever get that. But I do like to see that we are getting some level of transparency in holdings. There's also kind of just like a trade advantage too, right? If you know exactly what another country holds down to the penny in every single wallet, you can weaponize that a little bit, right? Or you can create situations where you could potentially put pressure on those particular assets. So I don't think we'll ever get 100% transparency, but step in the right direction. I don't want to be a pessimist here.
Absolutely. All right, let's move along here. Ripple and XRPL Labs join Digital Asset Recovery Protocol DeRec Alliance, or Decentralized Recovery Alliance, alongside notable members such as Hedera, Algorand Foundation, and Casper Association. The founder of Hedera, Lehman Baird, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, the Decentralized Recovery Alliance seeks to create an open source process for digital asset recovery, particularly for users lacking crypto experience. So Maddie, I wanted to, here, where would I write this. So we know the recovery is, very controversial, I think, for you, and I think it's for good reason why it's controversial, because we want to be in control of our keys. But if we want to see mass crypto adoption, we need people like our great grandparents to be able to use it with ease, right? So is this something good where you could foresee this decentralized recovery? And how it works is, so like with recovery for your Instagram, like you go to your Google Authenticator or something of that nature, you do SMS. With this, you get to choose, like, let's just say 10 people. And if you want to like sign a transaction, 5 of them have to confirm that it's you, and they get shared secrets. It's called secrets. Every person is shared a quarter secret. And so that way it's decentralized, unlike what you use for like your Instagram recovery if you want to get access to your Instagram again. Maddie, do you see this as something viable? I would think for mainstream, yes, but what about for your average person?
Yeah, I definitely, even though I would prefer it to be different, this is kind of a necessary process for the general public to be able to utilize crypto. Not just because people are, not careful or whatever. You just have a lot of people out there that are just very prone to scams, right? Like, there's so many people out there that, especially the older generation, that they get scammed by thinking they need to send iTunes gift cards in the mail in order to get their computer unlocked again, right? So we do need to have these processes in place and safeguards in place for the average retail investor or individual looking to hold digital assets outside of an ETF. So I do think it's a good thing long term. As a purist, as somebody who loves self-custody, those solutions will always be available. So it's not that, hey, this program's available and this takes away from your ability to have true pure self-custody. It's just another option. It's the same thing when Ledger came out with their recovery program and I was like, that's it, the trust is gone because there was a backdoor always. Guys, it's tech. Tech can be altered, it can be changed. Yes, we can take a look and we go, there's a 99.9999% possibility that this can never be backdoored or hacked or whatever, but all it takes is one person working in absolute overtime to find that crack, offer that crack to other people, and then be able to exploit a certain protocol, right? So at the end of the day, sharding is definitely a better process than just having somebody who doesn't understand the importance of safeguarding their keys and keeping them offline and the proper way to use those. This is probably a big step in the right direction for having still some sense of self-custody and decentralization, but then also giving people the ability to back up. I think it's a necessary evil, even though I'd prefer people to do self-custody. If you guys are serious crypto investors, please take the full self-custody route. If you're trying to get your NAN into it, yeah, this is probably going to be the next best way.
Ripple CEO claims U.S. government is obviously going after USDT. Tether's Ardoino. Maddie, am I saying that? Ardoino?
Let's see here. Ardoino?
Ardoino, got it. Claps back. So this is what I was referring to earlier. Brad Garlinghouse expressed some concerns about potential U.S. government scrutiny of Tether, given its significant market cap. He likened it to the possible of a black swan event similar to the FTX implosion. In a response, Tether CEO Paulo, I'm just going to call him Paulo, criticized Garlinghouse as an uninformed CEO, questioning his credibility, especially given Ripple's ongoing legal battle with the SEC. So, Maddie, this is what happened here. This guy got checkmated and got ratioed by Brad G here. So this is what happened. He says, an uninformed CEO leading a company being investigated by the SEC launching a competitive stablecoin is being reported spreading fear about USDT. And so, team, we've told you guys Ripple's announcing a stablecoin. So Paolo here thinks that Brad G's trying to spread misinformation, FUD, about Tether, and then Brad comes back here and says, I wasn't attacking Tether. The next words out of my mouth during the podcast was that I view Tether as a hugely important part of the ecosystem. My point was that the U.S. government has clearly indicated they want more control over USD-backed stablecoin issuers, and thus Tether as the largest player in their line of sight. Maddie, what are your thoughts?
I basically said something to this extent to my team before even seeing this reply from Brad. First of all, it doesn't take much to get Twitter, to get their panties in a twist over Tether news. It really doesn't. Like you can just whisper that Tether's insolvent, and everyone will take it and run. People love to bite news lines, right? They bite those headlines hard, and they don't even read the entire article inside of it. Also, this is just really, really foolish of Tether CEO to get in here and be so overt. Like, come on, first of all, let's be professional here. Like, you're a CEO, he's a CEO of an enormous fintech company that's not going anywhere. Shoot him a DM. Like, let's handle this like men if you really think that there's an issue out here, and straight straight up, when you go and watch the video, he doesn't say anything negative about Tether. Look at the position that Brad Garlinghouse has been in for the last several years, right? He has been in the middle of one of the biggest crypto cases right now that's still in front of the US court. So I would say that he's probably the only person, other than the attorneys and other people who are working on this case, that can give this kind of statement, that could give this kind of insight. And it doesn't mean that they're doing something bad. He specifically says in the video how integral USDT is to the ecosystem. He's saying it from experience. The government knows, the SEC knows how powerful Ripple is. They know how powerful XRP is. And that's why they did this to us. They did this to us intentionally to set us back, to let other competitors move ahead, to let other people who are already under government control take the lead in the DLT space. So those are some of the things to consider here, guys, right? Especially when you hear Brad talk, he's not a person to talk shit. He doesn't get out here and talk shit. There's literally no previous examples of him talking shit. So this is just like beef that doesn't even exist. This is one-sided beef. Like it doesn't really make sense. So, at the end of the day, guys, always dig, always read a little bit more. Like, just do not be that person that retweets before opening. Like, Twitter will warn you. They'll be like, hey, do you want to read this shit before you retweet it? Yes, you should. That should be an automatic thing. Like, Twitter shouldn't have to prompt you, or X shouldn't have to prompt you guys to do that. So, always dig a little deeper. I know that some people, have this feeling of like, if USDT goes, then that's it. Like, no, like, as you've seen, the legal process takes time. Yeah, sometimes it can have an immediate impact on the market, but U.S. government says, hey, we think there's something wrong here. It doesn't mean Tether goes to zero, it depegs, and the entire ecosystem falls apart, right? As we've seen, XRP did not go to zero. XRP has been declared a non-security inherently. We're on the tail end of this lawsuit where it looks like they're going to pay little to no disgorgements to the SEC because there were no actual crimes committed. So, guys, let's not make this huge assumption, jump to all these insane conclusions just because someone says, hey, this is a very successful entity. The government might want to take a piece of that pie. Is it fair? Is it right? No, absolutely not. But from experience, he's just pointing out what could possibly happen. So, guys, take a deep breath. Tell yourself if that's reasonable or not, right? Like, come to the conclusion for yourself. If this is one of the biggest competitors in the space, are they most likely in the crosshairs by the government? Yes, absolutely. Even other big companies, Apple, Microsoft, pay fines all the time. Do they have to pay them? Should they have to pay them? Probably not half the time, but it's cheaper for them just to pay those, make it go away, and be able to continue making money, right? So just things to consider when you're one of the biggest players in the space.
Now, Maddie, just for our newer viewers here, because now they're freaked out about their USDT, how does one figure out if it is safe to be holding a stablecoin like USDT, or how do they know if Tether is safe?
Yeah, so there's always going to be a little bit of a faith factor with everything, right? There's always can be levels of corruption, just like we saw with the 2008 crisis that built up to a very big bubble, and you had quite literally the credit rating agencies leaving faulty reviews and knowing that there was lesser quality than what was supposed to be in these synthetic CDOs, and in passing them off as higher grade products. So of course you can always have fraud, but we can't assume that fraud is going to be the case. Any reputable stablecoin issuer has attestation reports that are issued that you can go and read for yourself. Now, of course, what do we have to do here? We have to trust that the attestation providers are not corrupt and they're not committing fraud. Again, they can go to jail. They can have to pay enormous funds, go bankrupt. All these things happen to auditors that intentionally and knowingly commit fraud. So that is something to consider here, guys. So are they fully liquid? According to the attestations, they are. They're highly profitable and very well pegged. So again, it's up to you guys to decide. At the end of the day, if you're not leaving those stables to execute orders, like there should be no reason to leave again any meaningful amounts of money on exchange. My stables are either set to for limits or for DCA, and it's a set amount, and it really doesn't leave large amounts. And other than that, or my USDT for trading, right, for leverage trading. And those are really kind of the only two big stablecoin bags I have. And I'm not taking my life savings and putting them into stablecoins right now. Once we do get regulation, once we do have a little bit more clarity, right, maybe we can start to transfer to that type of society where we're a little bit more stablecoin oriented. But for now, I use a lot of fiat still. You still use plenty of fiat. There's really no reason to not use fiat for the time being.
Team, the Ask Maddie Show, 2:30 p.m. Pacific this Wednesday. So if you have any questions related to this topic or any crypto topics or anything you want to ask, leave it down in the comment section down below. If you liked this video, please like it. Someone was telling me the other day that I don't close these shows out properly. You guys also like to hate me on like my hair and tell me I need to grow out a mustache. You guys are wild for that, okay?
I like the mustache idea. I think you look good with a mustache.
Maybe. I can't grow a mustache. I'm 22, Can't really do the facial hair yet, but maybe one day. Maddie, anything to leave the team with here? Final thoughts?
Yeah, first of all, again, I always appreciate you guys tuning in and appreciate you guys giving that engagement. Even if you guys don't sign up for our program, that engagement does help other people who maybe can't afford the program or, get this information and be a little bit more educated in the space. The more people that we can have educated, the greater chance we have as a community growing this community or growing the space, the DLT space, at a much higher pace. So I'd appreciate you guys doing that. Again, if you guys want to sign up for our program, you guys get 30 days free using code YouTube, no matter what membership you have there. And hope to see you guys in there soon.
All right, team. We'll see you Wednesday. Bye.